"You're just the IT guy," my family said, laughing. Joke's on them. I canceled $62,000 in support and texted back, "Now survive without me." Hey viewers, welcome to the channel. We're just getting started, and your support means a lot. If you enjoy these stories, please consider subscribing and help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for being here. Now back to the story. It all blew up at my parents' golden anniversary dinner. The dude I paid to look after my brother stood up, glass raised, and announced loud enough for everyone to hear. We all agreed. I got the $1.9 million lake house. My mom clapped. My dad smiled. Someone named Mayan added, "Fair is fair." Nobody even glanced my way. I didn't argue. I didn't ask who we all were. I just lifted my glass, let the silence stretch, and said, "Congrats. I'll just take what's mine." Then I smiled, quiet and unbothered, like I'd already made up my mind. I wasn't there to start a fight. I was there out of habit, obligation, maybe even a tiny bit of hope. I booked the venue, covered the $4,300 catering bill, and paid the band in advance because Dad said they couldn't swing it this month. I even got a special cake with their wedding date in gold. Still, the speeches didn't mention me as a son, a family member, or even as the freaking infrastructure. I sat through the toasts, the jokes, and their laughter when my brother said he never even wanted the lake house. No wife, no kids. What would he do with it? Everyone cracked up. Even Grandpa Joe looked away. I didn't. I bit into the expensive steak, wiped my mouth, and said nothing. I could already feel the shift, the gears turning. It wasn't anger. It didn't even sting. It was just a cold, mechanical realization. The kind that kicks in after years of being tolerated, but never really seen. They didn't want me at the table. They wanted what I brought to it. So I bounced early and quietly. No scene, just a smile, a nod to the waiter, and a note to my assistant. First thing tomorrow. Put a price tag on every single thing I've bankrolled in that house. They wouldn't see it coming. In their heads, I was always the reliable one, the fixer, the ATM, the ghost. But that night, I stopped being invisible and started keeping score. I didn't sleep that night, but not because I was pissed. I'd moved past that ages ago. I stayed up thinking, remembering patterns instead of specific events. The lake house wasn't the first time they divided the world into what I could give and what I could get. I remembered when I covered my sister's $9,800 wedding banquet. When I asked why she didn't tell me, she giggled and said, "You don't have a spouse or kids. Might as well make yourself useful." I remember driving 6 hours for Christmas, only to find my seat given to a neighbor. "She's alone this year," my mom said. "You'll be fine in the kitchen." The kitchen? Seriously. And as I went quietly, without a peep, my sister texted, "Wow, can't handle being overlooked, huh?" I remember checking my banking app that night and freezing the mortgage help I'd been giving, the streaming accounts, the shared Prime account. Poof. I remembered the text I got at 9:04 p.m. That night, everything flipped. "We talked about it. You've always been a failure. You ruin every holiday, every get-together. We don't need you anymore." That was their version of closure. No shock, the lake house felt like the ultimate punchline. To them, I was never family. I was just the money guy, the emotional pack mule, the tech support, the backup plan. I dropped $12,400 on the landscaping that made their anniversary party happen. Yet, I wasn't invited. When I asked, my aunt said, "Oh, it's just immediate family. I hope you understand." When I cut off the payments, my dad texted, "Don't be dramatic." Wasn't that always the line? Don't be dramatic. Like years of quiet obedience could morph into tantrums the second I stopped handing stuff over. I remember canceling my sister's wedding, not out of spite, but because she blew my money like she deserved it, like I didn't even exist. They always acted like it was love, that I was helping out. But what they really meant was that I was useful, that I stayed quiet. I never said no. And I didn't for years because I wanted them to see me. I figured if I gave enough, fixed enough, paid enough, they'd finally see me as more than just the one who screwed up. But they just never saw me, only the utility. I pay and they clap. I give and they divvy it up. I show up and they humiliate me at every game, family thing, dinner milestone. I funded the whole damn show. The illusion. The perfect family with a broken son who didn't ask for much, but gave even more. They never thanked me. They just expected I'd keep showing up, sending cash, pretending I hadn't noticed. But I noticed when I was hurt, they looked the other way. How my mom told people, "It's fine. Really, he still has one good arm." as if that made me all better. My brother used to laugh and call me RoboCop every Thanksgiving, like I was a party trick. My dad said, "We're not going to walk on eggshells just because you had a bad year." One bad year. That's how he summed up the decade I spent piecing my life back together. That's the pattern. They don't think I'm important, but they need me. They want the perks without the person, the services without the soul, access without acknowledgement. I used to think they didn't realize how much I gave, but they knew. They counted on it. That's why the lake house was no surprise. It was just the final confirmation. And as I stared at the whiskey in my hand that night, I made a decision. I wouldn't keep giving my money, my silence, my identity. I'd take it all back. I wasn't the son who came home to fix things anymore. I was the son who came back to cut the cord. The morning after the lake house, I didn't make a big announcement. I made a list of every room and thing, not out of spite, but for inventory, for clarity. Everything I'd bought, installed, paid for, or kept running over the years belonged to me again. By 9 a.m., I was in the driveway. My brother opened the door in workout shorts and a protein shake. He didn't say a word, just stood there like someone who realized the tide had gone out and all the crap was starting to surface. First, the obvious. The smart lock was gone in 3 minutes. Dad's sound system and 65-inch OLED TV, which I bought him because he deserved a real movie experience, were gone. The central Wi-Fi mesh I set up last year to stop internet drops during my mom's Zoom calls was gone. The lighting control app, the kitchen smart faucet, the online access for the security camera, all gone. By lunchtime, the house felt alien. Not because I'd broken anything, but because I'd pulled out the infrastructure they didn't even know I'd been maintaining. I wasn't being a jerk. I was being precise. The thermostat lost its remote. The refrigerator's touch panel went dark. The backup generator went offline. Then came the financials. I opened the mortgage account, pulled my cosigner info, and started the review. I knew how it would end. They wouldn't qualify for a loan after the refinancing I helped them with 2 years ago. Then the phone plans, all 5 lines in my name. I transferred full ownership. If they didn't take it within 72 hours, the lines would shut down. I logged into the streaming services. I canceled every single one. Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Amazon Prime, even the shared password manager gone. Their Amazon deliveries stopped. Their password autofill crapped out. Their living room TV showed only static. My brother finally said something around 2 p.m. "This is crazy." I didn't answer. I just unplugged the router and walked out. Next, their business accounts. My parents' business had relied on my company's infrastructure for over 10 years. Cloud backups, encrypted email, firewall control, software licenses, all part of my enterprise platform. I never charged them a dime. I opened the gateway and set their profile to end. Clean, professional, final. I left them a message on the dashboard. This system was maintained at no cost for 11 years. As of today, it has been decommissioned. Thank you. They didn't realize how much they leaned on me until everything stopped working. By 3:30 p.m., the clinic's main desk messaged me. "We're completely locked out. Please help." I didn't answer. I forwarded it to a coworker, telling him to charge the full emergency rate, then started the serious cleanup of the lake house. I never wanted it, but I'd paid for half the repairs. New dock, water filtration, guest cabin upgrades, all from my accounts because I was just helping. I pulled the invoices and highlighted every transaction. Then I called a lawyer. He didn't even blink. "You want to reclaim or recoup?" he asked. "Both," I said. He started drafting a claim, quietly and efficiently. No scandal, just facts. Then I went back to the house. The final sweep. The dining table cost $3,800. Reclaimed. The patio chairs, bought on my card during a family emergency, were loaded into the car. The espresso machine I gave them for Christmas 2 years ago, which my mom said made her feel like someone finally saw her, was wrapped in towels and carefully packed. My brother tried to block the doorway at one point. "You're not taking the flooring, man." I just smiled and kept walking because I had my receipts, literally. By dusk, the house felt hollow, still standing, but empty of everything I'd poured into it. There was only one thing left. The box, old and wooden, tucked in the back of the closet. They kept old photos and forgotten junk in it. I opened it. Inside were cards I'd written over the years, notes, hospital bracelets, a dried corsage from my sister's high school dance, a medal from when I had 2 hands. On top was a folded drawing I made when I was 7. My family, it said, stick figures smiling. They'd kept it, even after all this time. I stared at it for a long time. Then I closed the box and left it on the dining table. The only thing I didn't take, because I didn't want memories. I wanted space. I drove home that night and slept better than I had in years. No calls, no texts, no guilt. Just silence. I finally got it. I hadn't wrecked the family. I just unplugged myself from the machine that kept it running. They didn't call right away, not the next morning, not the day after that. The quiet lasted for whole days. But it wasn't peaceful. It was pressure, like a pipe about to explode. Then it did. Day 5, 8:17 a.m. I got the first group text from my mom, dad, and brother. You're overreacting. This was a family decision. We thought you'd understand. This doesn't have to be permanent. Let's fix it. You're acting like a stranger. I didn't answer. An hour later, my mom sent a separate message. I'm ashamed that you're trying to punish us instead of talking. This isn't you. You're not a monster. That was the vibe. Not apology, not ownership, just denial, fear, and projection. They weren't sorry. They were scared. Because for the first time in years, I'd pulled away the safety net, the backup, the repair guy. By lunchtime, my voicemail was jammed. My dad left 2 identical texts, back to back. Just call me. Don't do anything stupid. What they meant by stupid was permanent. They knew I wasn't kidding anymore. The situation went south fast. Aunt Gloria posted a vague Facebook status. Some people will throw away blood over ego. Subtle. Not enough to name me. But everyone knew. The smear campaign kicked off. It started with a message from my cousin Tasha. They're saying you're having a breakdown. She attached a screenshot from the family group chat, which I was no longer in. My brother had written, he's been acting weird lately. We need to give him space. He's not thinking straight. Then my mom. This is what happens when you bottle things up for years. He was always so distant. They weren't just trying to get sympathy. They were rewriting history. I wasn't strategic. I was losing it. I wasn't setting boundaries. I was dangerous. Still, no one texted to ask what really happened. They just assumed the old story was still true. The quiet brother, the awkward one, the one they felt sorry for. But I wasn't that person anymore. I was the hurricane they didn't see coming. That night, I got a call from a blocked number. It was Harper, my brother's girlfriend. Her voice shook. They're trying to bury you. She said she'd overheard a conversation. My parents held a meeting to decide what to say. And they put together a timeline to make it look like I'd been off the rails for years, trying to paint the wedding cancellation, streaming accounts, and company systems as signs of a mental break, not a plan, not a calculated move. Harper said even the therapist they'd used before was getting dragged in. My mom had contacted her, asking if she'd ever seen any red flags. That's when I realized they weren't trying to win me back. They were trying to trash me, to undo what I'd done by painting me as unstable. The emails came next. 2 anonymous ones sent to my job with vague claims, worries about recent emotional shifts, hints at troubling behavior. I traced the IP addresses. One came from my parents' hometown library, the other from a home ISP. I didn't need anything else. They were desperate, and desperate people stopped covering their tracks. But I didn't answer. Not once. Not to texts, posts, or calls. I let silence do the talking because I knew what was coming. Showdown. They showed up on Sunday afternoon. My mom, dad, and brother were waiting at my door like it was Thanksgiving, and they were dropping off a pie. They didn't ring the bell. Just 3 actors standing there, waiting for their cue. I let them stand there for 2 full minutes before opening the door. We didn't invite them in. Didn't smile. Just said, you have 5 minutes. My mom started crying right away. Not from real pain, but from being exposed. She wasn't apologizing. She was cornered. She launched into a tired speech about family misunderstandings and how quickly this had all blown up. My dad chimed in with his line. You've always been intense, but this isn't you. My brother didn't say a word. Just stood there, jaw tight. I waited. Then I said, you're not here because you care. You're here because the power's out and you don't know how to live in the dark. Silence. Then I looked at my mom. You let them say I was crazy. I looked at my dad. You watched it happen. I looked at my brother. And you started it. That was the moment my brother cracked. You're throwing your own family away for what? Pride. I almost laughed. I'm throwing you out for survival. They weren't used to this version of me. The one who didn't flinch. The one who didn't need their approval to be done. My mom tried one last thing. We're your family. And I said it simply, finally. No, you were. Now you're just people I used to pay. Then I closed the door. They didn't knock again. They didn't yell. They just stood there, stunned and confused, realizing that the system they'd built around me had crashed, and they had no idea how to rebuild it without me. They didn't expect me to go public. That was their last hope, that I'd stay quiet, that even if I took away the money, systems, and support, I'd still protect their image. They assumed I'd stay in the shadows, that my silence meant loyalty. It didn't. It was restraint. So, I opened the vault. First, the post, a simple caption. For those asking why I went quiet, here's what silence was hiding. Attached were screenshots of the group chat, where my mom said I'd always been unstable, my brother's message calling me a sunk cost, the canceled invoices I'd paid, and the defamation email traced back to their network. I didn't add any commentary, no hashtags. No anger, just facts. Within an hour, the post had over 300 shares from friends, co-workers, even distant relatives. Then I uploaded the second file, video footage from my doorbell camera. My mom standing in my driveway. My dad behind her, throwing bricks, swinging branches, screaming. The same people who claimed I was spiraling. The same people screaming, "We gave you everything." I blurred my face, not because I had to, but because I wanted the focus to be on the truth, not revenge. Then came the last upload, a PDF titled Receipts. It had bank records of payments I made for their mortgage, streaming, weddings, tuition. Email confirmations with my signature authorizing home upgrades, travel, business systems. Legal documents confirming I'd cut myself off from their debts. No edits, no spin, just reality. Then I closed my laptop. I didn't check for comments. I didn't wait for reactions because the truth wasn't for them. It was for the people they tried to lie to. By evening, my inbox was blowing up with emails from old friends, co-workers, even a few cousins. My cousin Tasha sent one message that hit hard. "You didn't destroy the family. You revealed it." Even better, a quote from my uncle's dental clinic assistant. "So, you were the one keeping it all running. We had no idea. They always said you were just the IT guy. We're sorry." That stung because that's how the family story had always gone. I was the broken one, the helper, the unhappy one who needed a cause. And they realized I was the foundation. When I left, everything crumbled. No drama, no vengeance, just balance. My mom deleted her social media accounts the next day. My dad's email auto-replied, "Out of office," indefinitely. My brother went dark online, deleted old posts, and set his profile to private. It wasn't shame. It was exposure. They couldn't spin it anymore. Not with the receipts out there. And that's when the power shifted. They didn't just lose a son. They lost the story they told about him. They asked to meet one last time. No group text, no pressure, just a quick email from my dad. "If you've got 10 minutes, we'd like to see you." No drama, just closure. It was scripted, planned, polished to sound real, like they'd finally hired someone to write their apologies. I didn't answer. I just showed up. Same house, same driveway. The same front door I'd walked away from months ago. My brother wasn't there. It was just my parents, waiting in the living room like this was some weird family therapy session. My mom jumped up when she saw me, her eyes already watery. My dad didn't move. "Thank you for coming," she said, like we were strangers doing a business deal. I didn't speak. I nodded once and sat across from them. The room was too clean, too perfect. The fireplace flickered, even though it was July. The coffee table had 2 mugs. One said "World's Best Son." My mom pushed it toward me like it would fix everything. I didn't touch it. My dad cleared his throat. Then he started in. "We've thought about what happened and what we said, and we want to be clear, we didn't mean to make you feel unwanted." He said it like he was trying not to cross a legal line, like this was a carefully crafted statement, not a confession. My mom spoke next. "You've always been so strong, so capable. We didn't realize how much pressure you were under." They hadn't realized. That was the theme of the day. We didn't see you. We used you. Just an oops. We hadn't noticed. I let them talk. I let them say how sorry they were about how things looked. They were sad that the family was so messed up now. They talked about therapy, rebuilding trust, starting over. They used every word except the ones that mattered. We were wrong. We were cruel. We treated you like a service, not a son. Finally, my dad said, "We miss you." Then came the quiet, waiting. And I gave them something they didn't expect. I stood up, calm, collected, and said, "You don't miss me. You miss the setup. You miss the money. You missed the version of me who paid, stayed quiet, and made you believe it was love. My mom gasped. My dad blinked like he'd been punched. I didn't stop. You don't miss me. You miss what I gave you. Free labor, silent agreement, the automatic yes. I turned to my mom. You let them lie about me. You let them say I was unstable. And when I stayed silent, you called it peace. It wasn't peace. I was surviving you. Then to my dad. You taught me that loyalty meant obedience. That love was earned through sacrifice. But that wasn't love. It was a transaction. They tried to jump in. I kept going. You can't beg for forgiveness after decades of casual cruelty. You can't pretend this was a misunderstanding. This was a business deal. And I finally canceled my subscription. My mom started to cry. Not quiet tears, but loud sobs, like she was trying out for sainthood. I didn't move. But we're still your parents, she choked out. And I said, you were. And you use that title like a credit card with no limit. It's maxed out now. And you're responsible for the debt. My dad stood up. He looked older than I remembered, smaller, like he'd deflated. He said one thing, his voice cracking. Is that it? Are you done? I looked him in the eye. No. I was done the night you gave away my seat for cheap applause. This? I'm just turning off the lights. They had nothing left to say. And I didn't wait for a goodbye. I walked out, past the framed photos that were never updated. They kept the fireplace lit for show. Past the fake mug that read World's Best Son. I closed the door behind me. Didn't slam it. Just clicked it shut, like a story ending. That night, I got one last message from my mom. You'll regret this one day. Family is forever. And I replied with the one truth they never saw coming. No, family is something you earn. And you returned it broken. Then I blocked her number. Then I slept. There's no guilt. There's no noise. There's no weight on my chest because I didn't just say no to them. I said yes to myself for the first time in 20 years. Was I right to cut them off, or should I have tried harder to fix things? Let me know what you think in the comments.